A surge in American visitors to Barbados expected to continue. Mandatory training being implemented for public service vehicle operators. The Prime Minister meets the Pope at the Vatican.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. A surge in American visitors to Barbados is expected to continue as a result of the multiple American-branded hotel chains slated to start operating here in coming years. This prediction is coming from a tourism expert who is in Barbados at the ongoing Caribbean Hotel Investment Conference and Operations Summit at the Wyndham Grand Sam Lords Castle Resort. Anesta Henry has the report.
Barbados will continue to record an influx of visitors from the United States as multiple American-branded hotel chains, including Hotel Indigo and Hyatt Ziva, join the island's accommodation sector. This prediction is coming from Managing Director, Leader Caribbean Region of the Miami, Florida-based HVS Global Hospitality Services, Christina D'Amico. She was speaking at the Caribbean Hotel Investment Conference and Operations Summit at the Wyndham Hotel, where she declared that the performance of the Caribbean region coming out of the pandemic has been astonishing.
We're seeing a lot of new development in the pipeline. It's exciting to see the Hotel Indigo will be opening in Q2 of 2025. We also have some clients working on other projects in Barbados to get open in the hotel industry. And you're going to see that with the increases in airlift and the marketing to the U.S. traveler, the growth numbers in Barbados over the last 12 months have gone up significantly because the U.S. traveler is getting excited and learning that there is a destination down in Barbados. So when you look at the most trailing 12 numbers in Barbados, so the last 12 months through September, you're also seeing record occupancy numbers, record ADR growth, and record RevPAR levels, which I expect to get much higher as there's new inventory added to Barbados because there's not a ton of hotels here right now, especially hotels in the American chain flag.
Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Javon Griffith, announced at the BHG's fourth quarterly press briefing that U.S. arrivals surged by 24% in 2024, reaching 170,595 visitors compared to 128,794 last year. Meanwhile, D'Amico says data shows that the Caribbean's overall arrival numbers have been growing at a rapid rate.
The region is having record arrival numbers, record occupancy levels, record ADR levels, record RevPAR levels, and we keep riding the wave, which is the theme of the conference. Everything has been riding the wave.
The Caribbean Hotel Investment Conference and Operations Summit is seen as a premier hospitality conference in the region. Embarking on its 13th edition, the event brings together over 300 regional and international investors and operators, as well as the region's leading decision makers. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, says the summit has a strategic role to play beyond being a high-level meeting. He says it should also be a voice and partner for reimagining the regional industry in a way that lends to the building of an ecosystem that is robust enough to confront challenges such as climate change head-on.
And in terms of investment, many of the investment players who are here and who are interested in the Caribbean are not only from the Caribbean, but extra-regional. And therefore, you too have a stake in ensuring that as you come to offer your investment to the region, that you too have a stake in helping us to build out that capacity as we go forward.
The summit ends tomorrow. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, we'll hear more about that conference later in the business report. As government moves to regulate the public service vehicle sector, operators in the industry will be expected to undergo mandatory training beginning next January. And all drivers and conductors are being urged to register by January the 31st to undergo training at the Jean and Norma Holder Hospitality Institute. Rachel Agard has that report.
By next year, commuters on PSVs can expect a more regulated sector. It will include mandatory training for drivers and conductors. Those operators have been told that they will not be allowed to renew their licenses until the mandatory training is completed. Communication specialist with Hague Communications, Joyanne Hague, who is charged with sensitizing the operators about the new regulations, says there are consequences to their actions.
What we are trying to achieve here is to make sure that people traveling in public service vehicles can leave home and get to work safely, children can get to school safely, and get back home to their families. That is what we want ultimately. Obviously, we want to eliminate the behavior. We're not going to get it 100%, but certainly we're trying our best to reduce it, at least to give us 80% of good behavior. This will allow then for persons to either decide, do I want a career driving a PSV or being a conductor, hence the reason for having certification. So gone are the days of come and just drive my van for me, come off the street and just come and conduct, and not without training. We're taking this seriously. We want you to take it seriously.
Assistant Director of Administration at the Transport Authority, Maria Boyce, says stakeholders and passengers all have a role to play in effecting the new regulations.
I hope that we would all remember that the purpose of the Transport Authority regulations is to ensure that each of the players in the marketplace, each of us, understand how we are to function, why we are to function in the way that we are to function, and of course, understand as well the consequences of failing to function in the manner that we are required to do.
The first cohort is expected to begin training on January 26, 2025, and undergo a 20-hour course to be delivered over 4 consecutive sittings. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Transport Works and Water Resources, Dr. Romel Springer, says the regulations will give government the teeth needed to deal with some of the lawless behavior on the roads.
We will still be engaging the stakeholders as we go forward. This is not a strictly ministry objective. This is basically working with all the stakeholders involved. We welcome those consultations. We welcome the views of persons of the various associations.
The new regulations were gazetted earlier this month. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley, on a visit to Vatican City, has met with Pope Francis. A statement released by the Holy See press office said following the meeting, Prime Minister Mottley met with Secretary of State Cardinal Petro Rupolorin, accompanied by the Undersecretary for Relations with States. It notes during the cordial discussions, satisfaction was expressed over the good relations between Barbados and the Holy See. Several topics of mutual interest, such as the effects of climate change, as well as current socio-political issues, were also discussed. The meeting concluded with a reaffirmed commitment to promoting the common good of the people of Barbados. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mottley has invited U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to a face-to-face meeting where she intends to seek common ground on climate action. Mr. Trump's return and his promise to pull the United States from the Paris Agreement once again pose another challenge to global climate efforts. However, Ms. Mottley told the British newspaper The Guardian she believes there are ways of roping Mr. Trump into the climate change fight. She stated only by personal meetings among world leaders can the massive changes needed on climate action be achieved. Ms. Mottley also noted the green transition would continue with or without Mr. Trump. Barbados will be giving praise as it celebrates its 58th anniversary with a National Independence Thanksgiving service on Sunday, the 24th of November. The multi-faith service, being held in conjunction with Barbados religious community, starts at 10 a.m. at Garfield Sober Sports Complex in Wildy. It will be held under the theme Stronger Together with Peace, Love and Unity. Senator Patricia Parris of the organizing committee says the service is open to the public and she has extended an invitation to all Barbadians to attend.
You do not have to have a ticket to attend this service. It is for all. We will have all the necessary arrangements in place for parking. The road will be free-flowing and you will be welcomed warmly when you get to the Garfield Sober Sports Complex.
Officiant for the service, Bishop Dr. Winston Clark says Barbados could not have reached this far without God's grace and mercy. He says there's much to give thanks for.
We're anticipating a bumper crowd, and we are soliciting the support of all of Barbados. We're asking you to turn out in your numbers. Let us celebrate. Let us give God thanks for having brought us to another year. Let us come together as a people in keeping with the thing which speaks to being together and expounding the virtues of peace and love together as we come together to worship and to celebrate. In that service, we'll be having a number of a variety of faiths who will be making their respective contributions to the service. And the preacher himself will be the Right Reverend Michael Maxwell, who is the Bishop of Barbados.
Well, yesterday we told you about Agriculture Minister Inda Ware's successful lawsuit against media houses The Nation Publishing and Barbados Today relating to articles quoting former Minister and Member of Parliament Anthony Wood. Well, a company called Tarico Building Inc. and its principal officer Ricky Narain have also been awarded damages for defamation, not only from the media houses, but from Mr. Wood as well. The damages arose from statements made by Mr. Wood during a public meeting that were carried by the media houses. As a consequence, the court has awarded the company and Mr. Narain a total of $225,000. Mr. Wood has also been ordered to pay the company $75,000 and Mr. Narain $50,000. The Nation Publishing Company has been ordered to pay the company $25,000 and Mr. Narain $10,000. Barbados Today has been ordered to pay the company $40,000 and Mr. Narain $25,000. The three defendants have also been ordered to pay the company and Mr. Narain a total of $15,200 in costs. We'll take a break here, but coming up, concerns about not enough data on the Caribbean available. The challenge of not enough data, especially research pertaining to the Caribbean, is one which Barbados once addressed. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey, called attention to the matter as he addressed a panel discussion organized by the University of the West Indies at CAFIL in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank. It was themed from data and research to policies that improve lives in the Caribbean. Minister Humphrey says the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic saw data being collected as innovative ways were sought to reach out and assist citizens. He says in some instances where data is available, it is not digitized.
The challenge, I think, with a lot of government data and administrative data generally is, well, first of all, the good thing is that it's everywhere. Like, you don't have to go looking for it. It's there. It's everywhere. But the challenge is that it's everywhere, but that in some cases it is very difficult to retrieve. In the public sector, we haven't only now recently, I mean, in a serious way, if I'm being honest, we've only recently now started looking at making things digital and digitizing. We haven't been good at that. So a lot of the data that exists is stored literally in boxes.
Well, the principal of the CAFIL campus, Professor Clive Landis, highlighted the importance of data collection, saying at times it's used to inform policymakers.
I am absolutely convinced that once we engage with our own data, then it becomes inevitable to make better decisions for the benefit of our societies. Evidence-based policymaking is a topic very close to the heart of any good researcher. I describe it as the process whereby routine administrative data is converted through objective analysis into metaphorical gold dust for decision makers, with members of society being the ultimate beneficiaries. But if we are to convince members of the public or those persons in our civil service who are collecting the administrative data of the value of such an analytical approach, then we need to ditch some of the jargon and start speaking in plain language.
On this World Diabetes Day, the Barbados Diabetes Foundation is stressing the importance of early detection in the fights against the non-communicable disease. Manager of the Diabetes Foundation of Barbados, Dwight Edgell, acknowledged the strides made locally, especially through the range of services on offer at the foundation and generally on island. He wants citizens to avail themselves of the services.
We have a unit like the Barbados Diabetes Foundation where there's no comparative space like that in the Caribbean, and where people can come free of cost through a referral from the polyclinic. And I'm urging everyone this morning who knows someone, especially people in my age group, the 60s, etc. You know, we men tend to dilly-dally with our health. That early detection, as Hillary and Dr. Clark were saying, is important. And you can go to the polyclinic, have a referral, come to a well air-conditioned space. You have doctors, podiatrists, cardiologists. All these things are provided free for Barbadians.
Well, the theme for this year's World Diabetes Day is Breaking Barriers, Bridging Gaps. It highlights the commitment to reducing the risk of diabetes and making sure everyone with a condition has access to equitable, thorough, reasonably priced and high-quality care. And with all the action in Sports Night tonight, it's Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, another lower order fight back was required as the West Indies top order collapsed against England in this evening's third T20 International at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia. Sent into bat after the match was delayed for about 20 minutes, the Windies were on the back foot at 37 for 5 before limping to 145 for 8. Captain Ralph Monpowo rescued the hosts with 54. Mario Shepard, he had a 30 in a 6-wicket partnership worth 73 runs. Pacer Saqib Mahmood was impressive. He took 3 for 17. And Jamie Overton, he had 3 for 20. Well, England, in reply moments ago, were 44 for 3 after 6 overs. The action continues live on radio station 94.7 FM. Well, cricket legends of Barbados and the University of the West Indies have inked a memorandum of understanding to bring together the history of the game with cultural values. The formal partnership is an agreement with the Academy, CLR James Cricket Centre at UWI and the Legends. Speaking during a ceremony this week, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Cayfield campus, Professor R. Clive Landis, says he's hoping for more participation from the Legends in cricket in the Caribbean.
I would like to see more involvement at every level. Now, I'm not involved in the capacity of the West Indies cricket, but we have a role as a university with a dedicated faculty of sport to help build an understanding of cricket history in the West Indies, what the game means to our region and to our development.
Well, General Manager of Cricket Legends, Julia Kane, says the MOU will help to improve general knowledge and education on cricket in the region and its impact.
This collaboration enables us to actively engage various clubs across the island as part of our outreach program strategies. By encouraging these organizations to utilize our facility through our exclusive Legends programs, we are pleased to have established this educational resource that fosters deeper connections between community members and our local cricket history.
We're going to take a quick break here and come back in just a moment. Some football news now. There are no headaches for head coach Kent Hall in selecting his first team as the Barbados senior men's squad prepares to face Guyana at the BFA turf tomorrow night. Both teams are set to clash in home and away CONCACAF Nations League play-in matches. Barbados is boosted with the return of international striker Thierry Gill, and Coach Hall says the Tridents are excited at the prospect of adding to their recent success in Nations League C.
It's good to have options, as I was saying, depth in the squad, and we know that Thierry has quality that can make us better, so we're absolutely thrilled to have him here. We get a couple sessions under our belt, which obviously helps us to help him gel. He's coming into a group now that's played 6 matches consecutively, so we know there's, it takes a little while to build some of that chemistry, but things are coming along well. To be fair, we have different opponents too, right? And that's a big part of the calculation. By all means, we think we can still be potent in attack, but playing against opposition that are ranked higher, that are competing at a higher level, means that we can't expect that the goals will be as easy to come by. We will still create opportunities, and I think Thierry gives us another dimension a different type of opportunity also that we can bring. So yeah, we're certainly confident that we'll create chances and enough of them to get the result that we want.
Well, both teams will be battling out for a place in the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup prelims slated for early next year. Interim head coach of the Ghana team, Wayne Dover, says the transition of the coaching position has brought plans back in order and the team is more focused.
Most of it is the first choice squad. There's a few absences because of injuries, and these things all happen. But those who are here, I think, made up 90%, more or less 95% of the first choice squad. There's a mixture of overseas-based and homegrown. So yeah, we do have overseas-based players here. These days, everybody relies now on stuff that they get on YouTube, and they look at teams' previous encounters, and they analyze and strategize. So I think that is what we relied on in the most recent time.
Now, tomorrow's match at the BFA Technical Centre starts at 7 p.m, while the second fixture will be hosted by Guyana on November 19th. Tonight, shortly after Newsnight, CBC TV8 will air an interview with Coach Kent Hall as he talks about tomorrow's game. That's CBC News Extra with Anne-Margaret Boyce at 8:23 p.m. And that's it for the first half of Sports Pearson. I'll be back a bit later on.
All right, thank you, Damien. Business Report is next. In business tonight, over 300 investors, thought leaders, decision makers and tourism officials are meeting in Barbados at the Wyndham Grand Barbados Sam Lords Castle Resort for the 13th Caribbean Hotel Investment Conference and Operations Summit. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Edgell, in his official address, called it a landmark occasion for Barbados as the country is poised for fresh and exciting tourism development and sectoral growth. Trevor Thorpe was there.
High-energy cultural performance from the Celebration of Rhythm Dance Group signaled the start of the activities at the Wyndham Grand Barbados Sam Lords Castle Resort. It was the first time the event was being hosted in Barbados, and the Minister of Tourism, Ian Gooding-Edgell, says it provides a perfect setting for the shared vision of fostering growth and innovation within the Caribbean tourism sector. He says, in recognizing the pivotal role tourism plays, government has worked diligently to foster a conducive environment for investment that aligns with its vision.
Our investment package for tourism sector is highly competitive. We offer a tax holiday of up to 25 years, followed by a 50% reduction in the applicable taxes and rates for additional 15 years after the tax holiday period. Current legislation also allows investors to access tax and financial benefits on capital expenditure and interest expenses, as well as exemption from import duty, VAT, and environmental levies on essential items such as furniture, fixtures, equipment, building, and building materials.
Minister Gooding-Edgell says the Sam Lords Castle is a prime example of what is on offer in Barbados.
This estate was subdivided into 5 parcels with approximately 28 acres allotted to this impressive resort. The Barbados Tourism Investment Inc. is actively seeking proposals from the developers interested in purchasing and developing the 3 adjacent beachfront parcels. Another key opportunity is the Carlisle Bay development located on the outskirts of Bridgetown, our capital city, which is a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. This project spans over 2 kilometers of beachfront along a stunning crescent bay and is adjacent to the historic garrison. The Carlisle Bay development will be a transformative project for the area, acting as a catalyst for the regeneration of nearby urban communities by facilitating infrastructure growth and creating sustainable livelihoods.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, Andrea Franklin, says Barbados is high on the to-do list for both business and leisure and gave visitor figures for this year.
From January to September, We have welcomed 509,673 visitors to our shores. Strategic increases in airlift and expanded cruise operations have made it easier for travelers to reach us, reinforcing their confidence in Barbados as a premier destination. These growing numbers bring more than economic benefits. They support local jobs, drive growth for small businesses, and fuel a thriving tourism ecosystem that benefits communities across the island.
Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of the Caribbean has appointed a new Chief Executive Officer. He is Barbadian David Simpson. Mr. Simpson has had a long-standing relationship with the ICAC, the last of which was as its president from 2021 to 2023. The new CEO says he is deeply committed to fostering collaboration with ICAC members to achieve the organization's goals. He says they include the development and implementation of a robust strategic plan that will not only address immediate challenges, but also position the organization as thought leaders in the accounting field. Mr. Simpson is also looking forward to working with the wider accounting and finance fraternity and collaborating with key partners. He is the lead consultant of Prestige Accounting, Inc., and a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, of which he is a former president. Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Wigton Energy Limited with 8,998,429 units was the volume leader, followed by Lasco Manufacturing Limited and Vicinco Group Limited ordinary shares. In Trinidad and Tobago, JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader with 341,000 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $358,640, followed by NCB Financial Group Limited. And here in Barbados, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the volume leader, trading 11,940 shares at Barbados $2.95 each, and they were followed by Epley Caribbean Property Fund, SCC Development Fund, and CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited.
And that's tonight's business report. To look at the weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill is next. Well, let's get ready to pay very close attention to the weather now as we're joined by Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Well, the high-pressure system was our dominant feature today. However, we had some afternoon showers across some northern areas. The winds across the region, they are light to moderate. They're peaking at 12 knots here in Barbados, and afternoon showers prevailed across the Guianas. The maximum temperature was a warm 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 26 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 27 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 75%. The winds, they're coming in from the south-southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where those temperatures are ranging from 24 to 29 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building across those southern islands, and the winds, they are generally light to moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where we do have that high-pressure system maintaining dry and stable conditions across the Eastern Caribbean. For us here in Barbados, we had some afternoon showers across some northern areas, up to 17.6 millimeters of rainfall. Now, our winds, they are peaking at 12 knots for us here in Barbados, and the seas moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. Later on tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies, along with only a few light showers. Now, that's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:57 and will set at 5:29. Now, the first high tide is expected at 18 minutes after 3 in the early morning, and the first low at 8:41 a.m. Those seas are moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. The winds coming in from the east, southeast to the east, and they're peaking at 30 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge will be our dominant feature. We are expecting mostly clear skies along with only a few light showers. And over the next 3 days, partly cloudy skies along with a few passing showers can be expected.
Now this is sports with Damien Best.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, Christchurch Foundation and Harrison College are the girls and boys champions of the Dasani Power 8 BSAT Cross Country Relays Final. Held at the Foundation School grounds this morning, CCFS took the girls' title by 4 points with a total of 57, ahead of the St. Michael's School on 53. Harrison College were third on 47 points. In the boys' division, Harrison College took that title by 6 points with a tally of 59. Foundation finished second on 53, with Courage and Parry third with 43 points. Well, next year's local track and field season is set to get going in late January with the 15th edition of the Joseph Payne Memorial Athletics Classic. The discus and javelin events will start the ball rolling on January 24th under lights at the Courage and Parry School from 5 p.m. This precedes the next day's full schedule of track and field events at the Usain Bolt Complex, which includes the 5K run that's set for 5 p.m. Now, open to all clubs, schools and independent athletes for the first time, it will be a qualifier for the Carifta Games, having been sanctioned by the Athletics Association of Barbados. Organizer of the Classic, Charles Walcott, says this is an important move as young athletes need more competitions.
We encourage all the coaches and so on to get your athletes ready to participate. January is not too early for you to start competing. If you are desirous of raising your performance level, it is important that you compete. Competition enhances performance. And I want to emphasize that point. The more you compete, the more competitive you are, your performances will improve. And you know, we sometimes struggle at the last minute to achieve qualifying standards, and I think a lot of that has to do with the time that these children start to participate. We would have launched the secondary schools field event circuit that's a couple of weeks ago, and that is really to encourage children to participate, to prepare them for the Joseph Payne in January.
Added to this year's track events will be a mixed relay, and as we hear from Meet Director Wendy Barrow-Smith, there will also be an expansion of the age groups.
This year we are branching out into the track for the Masters as well, so there will be events for 100 meters and 200, I believe, for the Masters athletes as well. Barbados is developing a legacy in terms of the Masters in recent years, so we are looking at supporting them as well as our juniors.
Well, that's it for sports tonight, Pearson. It's back over to you.
Thank you, Damien. We'll be right back after this break. Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for yours. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.